The movie starts with a father picking up his daughter from the bus station. She was coming from college. They went home, and she told him this is now their 12th house they've moved into, and she is asking him when they are going to finally settle. He told her this house is comfortable and it will suit them well. Next, we see a girl picking up her younger brother from prison. The dad and his daughter were cleaning the house, and he called her and told her that he does not want her to go to college. Instead, she can transfer and start learning at home. She asked why now, and he told her he misses her a lot when she is not here, and he feels like something bad is going to happen to her. She said, "Okay, I will stay." Next, we see a young boy looking at a prostitute, and he's holding money, but she quickly got taken by another man, which made him sad. Later, we see the girl bringing her brother, who had been in prison, back to the house. It turns out that the girl and the man were actually neighbors and had been dating. He told them to enter the house. They all are greeting each other. She introduced him to her younger brother. They all sat down and started chatting, but the younger brother did not look happy about this. Then we see the prostitute in a uniform. Turns out, she is a student, and also the young kid was her classmate. They started staring at each other, and she got a little shy and went to class. In the class, we see that this man was the teacher, and he was teaching them that they are all young and clean. He told them, you all should have a goal in life, and you all should support each other in this life. Next, we see them getting the stuff that was left in the old house to the new house. The younger brother asked his sister if her boyfriend wanted the painting, and she said, yes, bring the painting too. As he was doing that, he noticed there was a back door behind the painting, and he was curious to find out more. Next, we see the teachers commenting on how the man teaches and that he should only focus on the subjects and not motivate the kids in other areas. The man was not happy about this. Afterward, the younger brother told her he was going home and would see her later. As he was about to leave, she asked, "Can you shave your beard?" He paused, stood still for a moment, then continued walking home. The daughter then mentioned that her brother was really scary. She explained that she raised him after they lost their parents at a young age. She added that he wasn't always like this. He changed after going to college. His bad friends were the ones who turned him into an addict and a violent person. She started crying but insisted, "I will never believe he raped that girl. It was another man who did it." She said they sent him to prison for something he didn't do, and he changed a lot after his time there. At night, we see the man having nightmares about his dead wife. The boy is still stalking the prostitute with courage. He went up to her, and she was very shocked. In the morning, the teacher was asking about her. He asked why she didn't come to class that morning, and if no one told him why she didn't come, he would not be teaching them. The students said nothing, so he walked out. As he was walking out, the boy ran up to him and told him everything, then went to the prostitute's house. She was talking with her friend, and her friend was telling her that she didn't have to leave town. The prostitute angrily replied, "What about my sick mother and my little brothers? I don't have time. I need to make money. They're all depending on me. You don't understand how hard it is." She added, "Even my mother doesn't know what I'm doing or how I'm making the money." Just then, there was a knock at the door. When she opened it, it was them both. They took her to class, and they told her that he and her fellow students would help her. She wouldn't have to do this anymore. The girl cried and thanked him deeply for doing this for her. In the cafe, the daughter told the girl that she wanted her to be her mother. The girl laughed and giggled, then gently replied that there's a time for everything, and we shouldn't rush things. Next, we see the man at a car garage, where the mechanic tells him that the car needs more time to be fixed. As the man glanced around, his eyes fell on a magazine, and he was shocked by what he saw. Without wasting another moment, he grabbed the magazine and rushed home. In his room, he angrily ripped the magazine apart, clearly disturbed. It seemed like he recognized the man from his past. As he continued to tear the pages, a flashback hit him. He remembered the man coming to his house, asking his wife where he was. At night, the girl was texting with the boy, and it seemed like they both liked each other. Just then, someone entered her house, turned off the lights, and violently attacked her, strangling and raping her. In the morning, the teachers called him and told him that one of his students was killed. After he got there, he saw her mother crying, and the boy was just standing there, shocked. At the police station, the police were asking what they were texting last night. He said it was just random things, and he showed the cop that. In the house, they were talking about the girl, and the cops called him and told him she was raped and strangled to death. At that moment, his girlfriend remembered that her brother came home late at night. He was bleeding in the neck and had scratches on his hands. He told her it wasn't a big deal. He was in that bar, and two people got into a fight, and he had to break them apart. That's why his girlfriend, in shock, said goodbye and left the house quickly. She went home and asked, "Where were you last night?" He said in that bar, but she didn't believe him. She screamed and asked, "Where were you?" He said, "Calm down, sis," and swore that he was in a bar and nowhere else. At the police station, they were questioning the man, and he told them that kind of thing hasn't ever happened. But it recently started after he got out of jail. At night, his girlfriend and his daughter were chatting. The girl said, "I think your father is going to ask me to move in with them." To which the daughter replied, "I wish he would." Just then, the man came into the house, looking confused and worried about something. His daughter went to the bathroom, and to give them space to talk, she asked, "You wanted to talk to me about something?" He sighed and said, "Just forget it," then angrily stormed off to his room. His girlfriend, frustrated by his lack of communication, left the house. When his daughter returned, she asked where the girlfriend went, and he replied, "I don't know," which only made his daughter more upset. She snapped at him, "Make up your mind. Stop confusing this lady." At night, the girl was drunk and passed out at home. Later, a man entered her house, strangled her, and raped her. In the morning, the daughter went to check on her, but when she arrived, she discovered that the girl had been raped and was unconscious. She was horrified and in shock by what she found. In the hospital, she was in a coma, and they were just standing and watching her. At the police station, the cops were talking about how the two killings may be related, so they should focus more on that. At home, they were arguing, and he told her, "Stop acting like she is your mother. Your mother is already dead." Then, he went into his room. At the hospital, we see the boy stalking the man inside. The brother was taking care of his sister when suddenly she woke up. The nurse was coming, and when she went inside, we see that the girl was strangled and her brother on top. The nurse screamed and said, "He killed her." Right then, the people came and took him to an empty class and put him there until the cops come. He was saying, "It's my sister. I didn't kill her. I swear," while crying and screaming that he did not kill her. After that, the security guard went inside to see if he was there. It turns out he escaped through the window. At the police station, the officer told him that her brother might be the one responsible for killing both of those girls. The man was overcome with emotion, crying as he blamed himself for letting his brother stay with her. "I should have moved her with me," he said, his guilt consuming him. At the house, they were crying together, trying to comfort each other. Then, the next morning, the girl was organizing the books they had brought from their old home. While sorting through them, she found a piece of paper and read it, her eyes widening in amazement at what she discovered. When the man got home from work, he found his daughter crying and said to him, "Why did you lie about my mother? You said she died while giving birth to me." She told him, "I have read it. Why didn't you tell me my mother was killed in a horrifying way?" Then his daughter screamed, "Why didn't you tell me?" He said, "Give me the paper." She gave it to him and went to her room, crying and saying, "You're no longer my dad," while crying and calling him a liar. And late at night, the daughter woke up and went to see him, only to find out that he was not in the house and the window was open. In the morning at the police station, the officer asked her what had happened, but she remained silent. He asked if her father was okay. At that moment, they heard the man, frantic, asking a police officer, "Where is my daughter? I haven't seen her this morning." He was clearly worried that something had happened to her. When he saw her in the station, he ran to her and hugged her tightly. "Where were you? Why did you leave so early?" I was so worried, he asked, his voice filled with concern. She began to cry and said, "When I woke up, you weren't there. I was scared, so I went to the cops." The man wiped his tears and said, "I was in the locker room. When I miss your mother, I go there to cry." "I'm sorry, Dad," she whispered. Later, as they drove in the car, he began telling her about his past. He explained that he had once worked in cargo shipment, and one day he discovered unclassified medicine worth about $2 million. He reported it, and the owner of the medicine was sent to prison. But not long after, the man was released. "You were only 3 months old at the time," he said. "I found out that the man was looking for me, so I reported it again to the police, and we were about to move to another state, but he came for us so quickly. Your mother told me to go to the back with you and said she would tell them that you weren't her, and they would leave us alone, but that didn't happen. They killed your mother and escaped." Later, at home, the father was doing his daughter's hair. She smiled and told him that he was the best father in the world and that he shouldn't cry in the locker room. He agreed, then mentioned that her mother's dress was in the locker room and suggested she try it on. She went to try the dress on and came back to show him. But when he saw her in the dress, he was triggered and didn't seem happy about it. That night, we see the younger brother at the old house they used to live in. He opened a hidden door behind a painting. Later, the father tucked his daughter into bed and said goodnight. Late at night, the girl woke up to get some water, but noticed something strange passing by her. In the morning, the father woke up and went to his daughter's room. The room was in chaos and messy, which worried him. As he went outside, he found his daughter hanging, which shook him to the core. The police arrived and took her away. The father, overwhelmed with grief, cried and then fainted. Back at the house, the police were questioning him, asking if she had been depressed or had any mental issues. He dismissed it, saying, "No, just leave it," and then, in a burst of anger, added, "I'll kill him myself." Next, we see the brother talking to a doctor who warned him to be careful as the situation was dangerous. The brother acknowledged it and left the doctor's office off. At the station, the cops were discussing the case, saying that all the deaths seemed to be caused by one man. The fingerprints were all over the crime scenes, but they couldn't identify who it could be, whether it was her father or the other man. They weren't sure. At the funeral, the boy and the father were together. The boy told him, "I've been following her brother for a while. I know where he goes. Sometimes he visits your old house in silence." After hearing this, the father and the boy drove to the old house. Once they arrived, the boy hit the man in the back and knocked him out. It turned out they were both working together. They met that night after his sister died. The boy said, "I've been following you for a while. I saw everything that happened in the hospital. Your sister was killed too, and I know who the killer is." The man, realizing the boy knew too much, decided to let him go. Meanwhile, the cops were discussing why the man wasn't answering his phone. Concerned, they quickly rushed to his house and found that he was not Thyramorth. At the old house, the man was tied up, pleading, "Please don't kill me." The other man calmly replied, "I'm not here to kill you. Just watch the video." As the video played, they saw the man dressed in a doctor's outfit entering the room where the girl was. It was revealed that she had asked her brother for a pen and paper to write down the name of the killer. Since he didn't have a pen, he left to find one. That's when her boyfriend entered the room and killed her. By the time her brother returned, she was already dead. The man, glaring at the video, said, "You can't fool me with this. You're the killer." The other man, unfazed, opened a book titled Book of Death and said, "Do you remember this book? The lives you've taken are all written here." He shouted, "Do you remember?" The man seemed interested, but as he stared at the pages, a flashback hit him. He recalled the time his wife was beaten and killed. The scene then shifted to a flashback of the brother and the boy investigating the old house. While they were searching, they heard a man enter through the window and saw him coming inside, which was him. The brother then went to the doctor to explain what he had discovered about the man. The doctor listened carefully and said, "If what you're saying is true, the man has multiple personality disorder. The cause could be childhood trauma, but I'm not certain." He won't know when the new personality takes over. It'll feel like waking up from a long sleep. After explaining this, the brother, in a frantic state, screamed, "Why did you kill my sister?" He continued shouting, anger and grief consuming him. At that moment, the man was so triggered that his alternate personality took over. He began fighting violently, but the boy managed to tranquilize him, and the man fainted. The brother and the boy quickly ran to the police station, where they handed over the video footage. The cops arrested the man, and he claimed, "I have proof. I have a video of the killer. He killed them all. Check the camera." In the video, the brother had recorded everything happening in the house while he was tied up and struggling, capturing the fight as they tried to escape. The cops immediately watched the video, and to their shock, they saw the father confessing to killing the 3 girls. The brother quickly explained, it wasn't him, it was his other personality. There are 2 of them. One can't know what the other did. He has multiple personality disorder. He continued, explaining to the cops how the disorder had affected the father's actions. The man woke up and returned to his original personality. He started reading the book of death that his other personality had written. As he read, he realized the terrifying truth. He had killed the 3 girls because they did things that reminded him of his wife. The first girl was killed because she kissed his hand, something his wife used to do as a sign of affection. The second girl was killed because she kissed him in the same way his wife had kissed him. The third girl, his daughter, was killed because he did her hair, just like he used to do his wife's hair. This realization shocked him, and in a panic, he began running. The cops arrived at the old house to arrest him, but he wasn't there. They quickly started searching the streets. They went to his home, jumped over the fence, and the officer opened the door. To their horror, they found that he had already hanged himself from a tree. The movie ended with a haunting image of the man's lifeless body swaying in the wind, leaving the truth unresolved, and the audience in stunned silence.